Welcome back to the channel. Let's bring up Alex W. Leith right now.
What's up, everybody? How you doing, Aubrey?
Hey, Alex, what's going on with you?
Oh, just getting through this day. Been a very busy day, but very productive. So it's always good to be
Aw
productive.
Awesome, awesome. And I know you are very productive. All right, so explain to me and the audience, what exactly is revenge cheating?
Okay, revenge cheating is if you are in a monogamous relationship or marriage, and things seem to be going well, and one party decides they're going to go out there and cheat, and the other party finds out, so they're hurt, and the other person, kind of gives a half-hearted apology, or not real sincere with the apology. They just figure they say sorry and be done with it. So the person that was wronged, say, listen, in order for them to understand how I truly feel, because they're not getting it. So if they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna truly feel this, I gotta go out and do what they did to me, so they can feel this. And
Mm.
that's typically what a revenge cheat is. And that happens a lot. You'd be surprised how much that happens.
Wow. I mean, yeah, that's so this happens a lot, huh?
It happens a lot, and the person when you're hurt, sometimes you're not really thinking straight. A lot of times, sometimes pain supersedes logic.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll do something out of your character when you're in pain, you know. And the 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 solution would be, okay, I'm gonna go out and do this. I'm not gonna feel nothing for this person. I'm just using them to get my mate or my spouse back, to pay them back, so to speak. Okay. But then you get into something and you share your body with someone and you feel bad about it. You feel dirty, or you develop feelings for them. It never works out the way you think it should work out, but people continue to do it, you
Yeah,
know.
I have heard of it now that you explain it and give a definition for it. I have heard of this happening. Um, I don't know. I guess on my side, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, if someone I'm with and we're in a mutually exclusive relationship and they're cheating on me, excuse me, and I find out, why wouldn't I just deal with it directly with them or end the relationship with them?
Well, again, because you want them to feel what you felt. I mean, the real in depth heartache that come with that. Because a lot of people don't get it. They figure they'll do you wrong. If they say sorry, that's enough. It'll take you some time to get over it. But they never really show any true empathy for what you may be going through. Some people, you know. So
Mhm.
in order for that to happen, you got to go out and get you a dagger, put some garlic on it, and stick it to them and twist it every chance you get. And that means going out and finding you a temporary lover or something like that. Now, I will say this is typically women who do the revenge cheating, because a lot of times it's the men that go out and do the cheating first. Okay.
Okay.
So because the man go out and do the cheating first and the woman get fed up with it, and he's not sorry and all that kind of stuff, a lot of times she'll lower her standards and say, listen, I'm just going to sleep with a coworker or a family friend, somebody I would have never considered had you not
Mhm.
had you not cheated on me. But
Mhm.
I'm gonna do this and let you find out so you'll know how it feels. And
Okay. So part of the point of it too is to make sure that the person who did the cheating first finds out, right?
yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
That's the whole point of it, you know. And you have to be careful with that these days, because if you had asked me, Aubrey, 10 years ago, if somebody said to me 10 years ago, who's more emotional, men or women, I would have unequivocally said women. I wouldn't even hesitate.
I think a lot of people think that, but that's not really true.
But if you ask me today, right this moment, I will tell you men in a heartbeat. Men are right now, men are so emotional. They got so many feminine tendencies. They get so caught up in their feelings. They do stuff and don't act right doing. They going out, they get hurt, they go out, they kill a woman, they kill the kids, they kill themselves, They burn the house down. They do all of this crazy stuff because they're in their feelings. When a lot of times they inflicted the hurt, but because now that they're hurting, they want to kill everybody. Go figure.
Right. I think what you just tapped into is something that I've seen and noticed. So women are considered emotional and called emotional oftentimes as if it's a bad thing, particularly by men. Women are allowed and conditioned in our society to be able to show their emotions and to emote. And that's considered quote unquote normal for women to emote, right? The thing of it is, in our American and Western culture, men are not as easily allowed to emote. And because of that repression, I feel like men don't really know how to deal with their emotions when they have them, when they have strong emotions, because we have emotions all the time. Um, every day you have some type of emotion, whether it's annoyance or sadness or happiness or gladness or joy. But women, I think, are better equipped typically in our society to deal with their emotions. So when men experience intense emotion, like what you're saying, like if a man who was really in love or cared about a woman and she reverse cheated on him, then yeah, I think you are going to see much more of an explosion. Whereas with a woman, she's going to know how to deal with her emotions. And also, we have a better support system, actually, too. Our girlfriends are our support system, typically.
Yeah. And not only aren't men taught to deal with their emotions, we're taught to let our egos rule. And because our
Hmm.
egos rule, we don't think straight most of the time. We can't deal with pain. We can't deal with hurt because we figure, we're made of steel. We can't get hurt, or you can't find nothing better than this right here. So you got no business going out and doing nothing, regardless of what I'm doing. You know, our egos are our worst enemy. And
Right.
and as you said, the ego is fragile. So once the ego get bruised
Right.
or shattered, and that's our identity, then we're nobody. We're nothing. So if we're nothing, we may as well go and do some stuff and kill ourselves after the fact. And this is what you're seeing now in today's society. Men cannot control their feelings because we're not taught to learn to
So,
control our.
okay, you just went out for a second there. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I said this is why you're seeing what you're seeing in society today because as men we're not taught to deal with our feelings. You say to little boys, be a man. Boys don't cry. Man up, and all
Right.
that. You know, that's all we ever hear. So we
Hmm.
try not to cry. This is why women typically live, 8 to 10 years longer than men do because women will cry and get it out, and it's healthy.
Right.
Men we want to hold it in and just kind of kill ourselves internally, holding this stuff in because we figure we're not supposed to cry, and it's damaging our body on the inside.
Oh, I agree with that. You're right. Men are told, and boys as boys, because I can remember when my son was growing up. I can remember catching myself saying that and hearing myself saying that, thinking that that's not right. You know what I'm telling him, but that's what I grew up hearing. So
Hmm.
I was kind of passing that down, and then trying to catch myself at the same time. How do I express to him? You know. That not always do you need to cry. Sometimes you need to use your words.
Yeah, and it's funny because my daughter, who's 11, she told me last week, as a matter of fact, she just told me, she said, Dad, I've never seen you cry. She said, the only time I seen
Mm,
you cry is when mommy passed. And I was like, okay, like she expect because she sees what I go through. She sees, how sometimes how difficult it may be. I may be having a bad day or a rough day or whatever the case may be. In the midst
mhm,
of teaching her how to deal with rough days and go through this kind of stuff. But
mhm.
typically, no, I'm not a crier, you know. But I guess she's waiting for that moment when she can come in and comfort her dad, you know. And I don't know when that's going to be, but
Are you Yeah, I was just gonna say, do you feel like you're equipped to allow that to happen? I mean, I'm listening to you speak about it, and I'm just kinda wondering, if there's a reason why you don't feel comfortable emoting more?
Well, I feel like I emote enough. I just feel like there's been no reason to really get overly emotional about things. Recently, there's been things obviously that were very emotional that has happened.
Sure.
Um, but recently, there hasn't been anything to really get too emotional about or cry about or nothing like that. I'm not saying
Mhm.
I won't cry. It's just
Mhm.
nothing has happened to force those tears or that emotion to come out. So yeah,
Right.
you
But
know,
she may be, as your daughter, she may be waiting for an opportunity to help comfort you, and that would probably in the process teach her something about life and about men and women, and male female relationships. So it's something to consider, I guess.
yeah, it's definitely something to consider. It's something to consider. But this emotional cheating, the reason why, and why do you think, Aubrey, and everything that we've discussed so far in this first 10 or 11 minutes, when a person reverse cheats or whatever, or revenge cheats, whatever, why would you think that wouldn't work? That's a bad strategy or a good strategy, and why?
Well, okay, so I'll take this angle because this is really how I feel. I think it's a bad strategy. I think it's not going to work. And what is the person even seeking to get out of it? To try to hurt the other party, to try to make them feel what they felt. Well, it's like that old saying that when we were growing up, our parents used to say, two wrongs don't make a right. That's the first thing about it. Um, and then the other thing about it beyond that is I've got to put my own integrity above whatever you did, whatever that person did. Let's say my husband, okay? If I find out my husband's been cheating on me, I'm going to be hurt for sure, but why am I going to ruin, like I think you said earlier in this podcast, why am I going to ruin my integrity, go out, share my body with somebody I don't even have feelings for? Why am I doing that? I'm opening myself up to disease. I'm opening myself up to a bad reputation if I care anything about. I'm married to this one man and I'm over here sleeping with this other man, and I actually do care about my reputation. So why am I doing all of this? I'm not hurting him. I'm hurting myself. It just sounds kind of silly to me. Like it's like when you take the poison, I'm taking the poison to try to hurt somebody else. That doesn't make sense to me.
And the crazy thing about that is many times that they'll go out and intentionally sleep with a guy they know their husband dislikes, you know, or know their spouse or mate dislikes. So, because it goes both
Yeah, no,
ways.
I can see that. I can see that part. I can see that. I probably could see, and I'll say this, I'll go this far. I could see probably if that were the case, if I was in that situation, I could see maybe going as far as wanting mm, that cheeseburger. um, I could see going as far as perhaps maybe wanting to fake or trying to insinuate that maybe something was going on with me and this one fellow that my husband despised, or more importantly probably was jealous of. This guy is younger, has a better physique than him, is more popular around the neighborhood, the church, the office, or whatever that place is. I could see that. I could see maybe starting up some stuff, even if it was kind of I was faking it, fake texting myself or whatever, and saying this is Phil. Phil's texting me. Oh, that guy at church, that real handsome young doctor guy. You know, the one that
Yeah,
played football in college. Wink, wink. I can
right.
see maybe to that degree, but I don't see actually sleeping with another person just to make somebody feel bad. No, I like I said, I think for me that's like taking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Yeah, but when people are in pain again, they typically don't respond as they normally would. When that pain is a trigger, or you're in pain and you're acting out of character, because you're
Hmm.
hurting so bad, you know, that's what typically causes these things. Now, they think it's going to solve a problem, but it's really working in the reverse. It's making it worse. Okay, because I've been on both sides of the equation. I've done it, and I've been the usy. You know what I mean? It's like
Okay.
I
Okay,
had
you've been the UZ.
yeah, I've been using, you
Somebody
know,
used you for your body parts.
yeah. Uh, I had a friend many years ago, and and every time her and her mate got into it, she called me to sleep with me, and I was younger, so I didn't really care, come on over, whatever. And then
Okay.
they'll go back and pretend to be happy, whatever. They'll live their little life, and then he'll go out and do something, whatever case may be. She'll get mad. She'll call me up again, and this went on for years.
Oh
You know what I
Lord.
mean? But
Pastor,
here's what
we
here's
gonna
what
pray for him on Sunday. We're gonna pray for him.
yeah,
Okay, continue on.
and, and here's what typically happens. You know,
So the guy finds out and comes and beats you up.
I mean that's possible. People have gotten killed because of this on both
Yeah,
sides of the equation. 'Cause it's a
right,
dangerous game to play when people's feelings are involved. You know,
right, right.
um, so it's a very dangerous game to play. But what happens is to the relationship, the more cheating that's done, the more you just break it down trust and adding pain and adding agony and adding you're not solving anything. And so what ends up happening is the trust is so broken at this point that
Hmm.
you're constantly monitoring their phones, you're monitoring each other's emails. They can't come in 5 minutes late from work. They can't, you just made a yeah. I'm telling you, Aubrey, it's crazy. So you made a bad situation worse by thinking you were playing these revenge games, and now you can't even live in peace. And it's so toxic that you don't want to leave the person, so you rather live in this toxicity, which is a whole nother show, a whole other discussion.
Right, right. Our viewer Jay Wadley says definitely a dangerous game on a number of levels. I agree with that viewer.
I would
I
like to
agree with.
see Jay Wiley, what's happening? Could you elaborate on what you mean on some of those other levels? I would like to hear what you mean on some of the other levels. Because
Good
I
question. Good question. Yeah.
because he's definitely onto something. Because
Right.
you're not just affecting you. If you got children, if you're a leader in your community, all of those things get affected with this toxic, bad, back and forth, cheating relationship.
Well,
So
the thing that comes to mind too, so I was saying earlier, I don't see myself ever participating in this kind of thing because one, I'm not going to share my body with somebody to get back at the other guy. I mean, it's just also so complicated secondhand, third hand. But the other thing, so like I said, you could come up with a disease. You were talking about sexual relations, which is a very intimate thing where people are swapping bodily fluid. Okay, but then also the other thing comes to mind. What if let's say like you said, it's oftentimes the woman that this happens to. So what if she becomes pregnant? So now she's having, she's married, she's having sexual relations and intercourse with her husband, and then she's over here cheating, hoping that he finds out or leaving clues so that he finds out. And in the interim, what happens if she becomes pregnant? I mean, it's all so messy. It
that
just
yeah,
sounds it sounds so messy.
that's a whole bunch of other can of worms. And yeah, you're right, because those things can happen. Or you can have an affair with a nutcase, and you want to end it, and he don't want to end it, or she don't want to end it, depending on what side of it you're on. So if
Hmm.
that happens, you just endangered the whole family. You know,
Okay, well, I want to read something. My friend Aubrey, this is your friend Jared. I know that. Can't you just play along?
now is
Okay.
this is this the Jared that used to go to Subways, the one that's in jail now? Is that this Jared?
No, not at all. Not at all. This is a Jared that eats efficiently and works out every day. Okay.
Oh,
So
okay,
back to what he's saying. Aubrey,
okay.
this is your friend. Okay. In terms of dangerous, you don't know if the other person will snap and try to harm the spouse or significant other or the person they're being intimate with. That's what he's explaining himself a little bit more about. Um, it's dangerous on so many levels, and I agree with them
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
he he says no. He's Jared the jeweler. That's right. That's what I'm
Oh,
trying to
okay,
tell
okay.
him.
Well, that Jared. Okay. Well, tell him I want me an 18
Okay, but
carat
what do you
diamond
what you
ring.
want to speak?
Tell him I want an
Oh,
18
okay. You
carat
want to speak
diamond
to what
ring.
he's saying about the
Yeah, go ahead,
you
Aubrey.
want to speak to what Jared is saying about the danger? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can. Now right. Can you listen to the question I'm asking you? Do you want to speak to the danger that he's talking about?
Yes, I want to speak to the danger he's talking about after he give
Thank
me my
you.
18 carat diamond ring. Um, but no, he's absolutely right. Because again, people today, and you're seeing it all over the news, social media, Instagram, whatever. People are very unstable. There's a lot of mental illness going on today. A lot. So you really don't know who you're dealing with, and you can't play with people's feelings. A lot of people feel that once you're, and men and women, once you're intimate with them, there's a connection. People call it now a soul tie, because like you said, you're swapping fluids and all this other kind of stuff. You know, you're inserting yourself into someone else's body. So there are spiritual ramifications involved and all this kind of stuff. And you don't know what the other person may be into. They may be into demonic worship. I mean, you don't know what's going on with this other person. So the fact that you're trying to just get revenge, you may feel good for a moment, but once it's over, here come all the other bile that comes with it, and you're more sorry now than you were, before you did
Right, right. I don't know. Jared wants to tell you it's jewelry for the women and not for the guys.
it. Hey, I can dig it. I can dig it. But yeah, but he, like I said, he's right. Too much come with that. It's not just the aspect of the physical act. You know, if feelings get involved and so forth, then or you got a nut job on your hands, it can get very, very complicated. Very complicated.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think the whole thing, and then I don't know, again from my perspective, and I think I'm relatively sound, healthy mentally and physically a person. I think from my realm of thinking, it just sounds crazy, like literally crazy to slash your own wrist and expect somebody else to die. I just don't get it. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things. I mean, starting with communication with the spouse or the significant other, the boyfriend, whoever this person is that you're mutually exclusive with, right? I mean, and like you said, so sometimes men will not understand, well, what's the big deal? Like let's say if they're living together and he's, paying the bills, most of the bills, half the bills, whatever people are doing these days, I don't know. He may feel like, well, I'm paying some of these bills. I bought you this, or I gave you this big diamond ring or wedding ring or whatever the thing is. And he may feel that that's all there is to love. Then I think that's something that I, as the person in the relationship, or any woman or person in a relationship with another person, that's something you need to understand. If you're dealing with the person that's challenging their integrity and their morals, that's probably not going to be a good fit. If you have high values and standards on certain things and they don't share the same standards, people say all the time that opposites attract, but opposites attract a divorce, is what I think. I think that if we have different values, spiritually, emotionally, morality wise, I don't think we can coexist together in an intimate space. That's what I think.
Right. Right. hmm And that's true. And
I
Jared,
heard you over there yawning. You better cut that out. You better get into this topic,
me,
reverse cheating. Yeah, you better get into this reverse cheating stuff.
uh, revenge cheating, man.
Okay, you see, I know, I know, no. Okay, revenge. Oh my
oh,
lord,
oh my
revenge,
goodness.
revenge cheating. I'm not into it. I'm not with it. So you see how I'm feeling about it.
Yeah. And you see, Jay Wiley said, good point about the mental illness. Our women are being kidnapped and killed for no other reason by the other. It doesn't mean they cheated, but you never know what can happen when a person is jealous. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
jealousy, jealousy has always been, or always could be, a very deadly thing. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
But let,
absolutely. And you brought up, wait a minute, hold on. You brought up earlier, you brought up the point that men, you recognize now as a mature man yourself that actually men don't actually always handle their emotions very well. And I think that's a very excellent point. That if you're dealing with a man, for example, in this case, and you get out there cheating and you're leaving clues so he will find out. I mean, you got to expect maybe he's a licensed gun owner. I don't know if he throws knives or axes for a living. I don't know what he does, but but I'm not the one that's trying to make anybody angry with me for just no reason. If you're going to be angry with me, at least let me have a reason for you being angry with me. And I just want to say, Claudette, she's saying hi to everyone. Hi there, Claudette. Thanks for supporting and stopping and coming through. And also, we have First Home Tuber is giving her hearts out. Thank you so much. Join in the discussion. First Home Tuber, what do you think about? Let me see if I can get this correct this time. What do you think about revenge cheating? Revenge cheating. Is that
right.
something you've heard of before? First Home Tuber and Claudette, what about you? Is this something you've heard of before? And you can say a friend, a friend, a friend, or a cousin, or whatever. I think when I think about celebrities, for example, I know this exists in the regular world with just regular everyday people, but I struggle to think of somebody that I know. And I have a lot of people that share a lot of personal information with me, but I can't really think of anybody that, oh, okay, wait a minute. Claudette says that, she's familiar, she's heard of it, not saying she's familiar personally, but she's heard of it. And maybe someone, a friend or a colleague has expressed that this situation has existed. So, okay. Yeah, I know it does. I really, honest to goodness, I'm not living in some kind of euphoria environment where I don't realize where people actually do revenge cheating, but I just don't see where it would be helpful. I'm not understanding. I'm really not understanding it.
Well, again, Aubrey, you may not understand it because you said to yourself you would never do it. But sometimes, if you're dealing with a narcissist who is
Mhm.
unable to either empathize or feel what you're going through or whatever, then you may love that person. But in your
Mhm.
attempt to make them feel the pain and the agony that you're going through, you're going to have to put them in that same situation. So, due to your pain,
Mhm.
you will act out of character and go and sleep with somebody you ordinarily would not sleep with,
Hmm.
okay, just to hurt this person and make them feel that. And again, first time home tuber or Claudette or somebody, please
First home tuber, yeah.
first home tuber, somebody tell me if they know of this situation. You don't have to give any names, as Aubrey said, but how do you guys feel about that particular type of situation? Because it happens more often than not than we think.
Oh, okay. I thought you were getting ready to read her comment on the screen. So, first home tuber says, "I think any kind of cheating changes the relationship forever. I don't recommend it."
Yeah,
Exactly.
right,
Exactly. First
right,
home tuber. I'm with you on that. I just yeah.
and and,
I
and that,
don't recommend it because you're never going to get that initial trust back because I think, a lot of people say all the time that trust is earned, and that's true. But I think, as a general rule, people that are healthy emotionally come into relationships and try to give a modicum of trust and respect from the get go, right? And then when somebody takes that for granted and they cheat on them, for example, in a mutually exclusive relationship where we both agreed upon that this is what we're going to be, mutually exclusive, and then one person goes and cheats and gets caught, that relationship is changed forever. And even if you manage to patch things up and move forward, there's always maybe going to be a little inkling of a little niggling inside your head saying, why, like you said earlier, Alex, why is that person 5 minutes late from work? Where are they? Did they stop?
right, right, and then you find yourself Every time their phone buzz, you want to look at it. If their phone, bling from a notification, you want to check the email or check their Facebook and check. I mean, that's pure hell to have to go through something like that to put yourself through. You know, and because the person now can't be trusted. So the question is, are you going to live your life like that, or are you going to plan your escape more or less? You know what I mean? Because what kind of life is that? Checking somebody's phone every day, checking their emails, calling the job. What time are you leaving? What time are you getting home? If you're 5 minutes late, where were you? What kind of life is that? But
I don't know. I'm just sitting here shaking my head. First Home Tuber does say that also people have done it thinking it would make them feel better, but it made them feel worse.
that part, that part. I said that earlier. Yep,
Yeah,
I said
because
that earlier.
you're basically throwing yourself down in the muck and the mud like a pig, and you're saying, "I'm gonna get you back, so I'm gonna get myself filthy just because you did something filthy, for lack of a better word." I just can't understand how you're gonna feel better. You're just gonna feel filthy.
Here's an
You know,
angle I
or
want.
or maybe like to another point that comes to mind, so like you brought out, or maybe you'll discover that you like sex with this other person better, and then what's gonna happen? Then what's gonna happen with that? I mean, like you're in the middle of having sex with your husband, and you're calling out some other dude's name, like, "Oh yeah, baby," whatever. I don't know. See, I'm not good with that kind of stuff, so I
Well,
wouldn't do well with that.
or you had to go there, didn't you? You just had to go there.
I mean,
So
I'm saying in terms of names and things like that. And I know it's so funny to me because I picked up very early in life, like as a young girl, long before I started dating or having any kind of relationships with men or boys. I picked up very early that a lot of men like to call women generic names because, especially the so-called playboys or players, they like to call women generic names like honey, baby, babe, or whatever, so that way they never get anybody confused. If you just keep calling women the same name from one girlfriend to the next, and even if you got five at one time, you're never going to get them confused, right?
right, that's smart. You know, because many times you'll have an urge to call somebody's name, and a lot of times,
Unless you're just saying Jesus.
yeah,
Now
or,
I've had
or
those moments. I've had
yeah,
those moments.
yeah,
You just have
yeah,
to call
yeah,
on the Lord.
yeah. You
Your
get to
toes
that,
are curling. Your toes are curling so tight.
right, right, that.
Oh yeah, do that, baby. But I'm not
Oh
good with the,
Lord.
the whole name thing, so that's not gonna
Oh,
be good for me if I got out
oh,
there and I'm cheating because I'm gonna say
oh
his
Lord.
name and I'm gonna be with the other guy. Oh Lord, I'm gonna be in trouble.
Oh, well, I've been known to call on the Lord every now and then. You know what I mean? You get, you get to them moments, and all of a sudden oh God, he's like,
I had a good meme about that on my daily funny that I do. I try to do it every day, but now it's getting not so much daily. But I had a good meme on that, and it was so funny. And it was like a picture of a drawing of what God was supposed to look like, and he's saying, "Why are you guys calling my name? Why you keep calling me? Why do you keep calling me?" And it was a couple. It was a couple in bed. Like what? It was like a little
exactly.
cartoon. It's like, what are
That's
you
right.
guys doing? Why do you keep calling me?
Oh my goodness. So certain people that have you reaching for stuff that ain't there. I'm telling you.
Okay, PG-13, Alex. PG-13.
Woo. But
Yeah,
let
but
me. But you
oh,
know
go
what?
ahead.
I want.
Go
I
ahead.
want to come at another angle, Aubrey. I want to because there's women and there's men in the chat, and I want to kind of come at this another way, okay? Because I
Okay.
was beating up on the men for a minute, and
Oh, okay.
rightfully so. But here's what I've heard in my travels, in my 50 plus years, and with a lot of brothers, a lot of friends, and men get together, we talk, blah blah, all these years, right?
Okay.
What I find is that in many of these relationships, men and women, girlfriend, boyfriend, marriage, whatever, in the beginning, when these women are trying to hook you, sex is no problem. I mean,
Okay.
they'll do it wherever. whenever,
Okay.
whatever, you know, and and,
Right.
and, the, and the men are loving this, right? Because like, oh,
Of course. Of
this is
course they're loving it.
this is 7 days a week, blah blah, everything. So 2 3 years down the road, all of a sudden now she said, oh, I don't feel like it tonight. You say, oh, cool, all right, that's cool. You don't feel like it tonight, that's fine. Then 2 nights later, she don't feel like it again, and so then
Oh boy.
it becomes
It could
twice.
be that time of the month.
Listen,
Let's be fair. It could be that time of the month.
it could be what I'm saying though. Then they start with the twice a week, twice a month, once a month,
Twice every 3 months.
right? Twice every 3 months.
Oh
Okay.
Lord.
Oh, here's the caveat now. Okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
and the man is doing nothing. He's like, what's going on? Maybe she lost her drive. Maybe she's not interested. Maybe she just got comfortable with it. Who knows?
Mhm.
Okay, the honeymoon period has ended because all new relationships have this honeymoon period. Okay, so the man is like, what's going on? I didn't do anything, yada yada, right? He's trying to talk to
Right.
her about it. Oh, I'm just tired. I don't feel like it. I work hard. I do this. She got all these excuses now. Okay, so this goes on for a while till the man goes out and dips out and do something because he has needs that's not being fulfilled at home. Right now,
Right.
the woman finds out about this. She gets upset now, right? Now because she wasn't giving him any, and now she mad at him because he went and got some. Now she want to go out and revenge cheat, and that's wrong because I know about situations like that as well. If you ain't
Mm.
doing it with your man, why you want to go out and do it with somebody else? Because you mad at him. Now,
But you're missing the first round. But go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead.
I, now what I'm saying, would you
Mhm.
believe, or any of the women in the chat, would you believe that you opened the door for the cheating by not taking care of your man at home?
Hmm. Hmm. I'm taking that question seriously because, and the reason why I say, because ordinarily, if I didn't know, like I had a very close friend of mine who lived in Texas, and there was a situation that's very similar to exactly what you described, minus the cheating, right? I don't know about, he didn't say there was any cheating on his side, but what he did tell me was that exactly what you described. So he met this lovely woman, and they courted one another, and he loved the things that she was doing for him during this courtship honeymoon period, right? To what you were saying, that she was very sexually available to him. um, they had great intimacy, they enjoyed each other, and he actually ended up marrying this woman in a short period of time. So as time went on, when once they were married, some time went along, and he found out that when he wanted sex with her, she wasn't as readily available. And he was quite disturbed by that. And I
Mhm.
think rightfully so. So I can't shrug off what you're saying, because there is some truth to that.
Now the only I guess excuse would be to that would be, if you guys start having children, she's having postpartum depression or difficulties after the pregnancy or during the pregnancy. Those are
Hmm.
all different issues. Okay.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
for her just not to want to do it, that to me, that's very selfish. You don't care about my feelings. You don't care if I'm being satisfied. Because women and men view love very differently. See, to a man, when you're not having sex with us, you don't love us. We're very
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
yeah.
are, are you serious? Yeah, I do see that being a feeling or an emotion that a man can have, but that's not necessarily true.
But
Alex, that's not necessarily true, right?
I know that. But I'm saying as men, that's how we're wired.
Okay.
My woman don't want to touch me. And men are very physical as far as how when we view women, we're very physical. We're very touchy when we have our woman, and we love our woman. We want to touch them all the time and make love to
Mhm.
them all the time. So if it gets to a point where your woman don't want to touch you or sit near you or whatever, to us, that's like she don't love me no more, bro.
Mhm.
For real.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I see that. I can see what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Wow, that's deep. It makes a difference between a couple just dating versus those who are married. Not that any cheating is good, but it wouldn't be cool being married. That's from Jay Wiley. So yeah, I agree. I agree. It makes a difference if you're dating or if you're actually married, because not like he said, not any cheating is good, but it's worse if you're married. There's a lot more ramifications for that. And
But some,
it's a
but some,
lot more difficult to get out of a marriage, you know? So,
yeah.
I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, but some people been dating 5 or 6 years without marriage, so the feelings are still the same. But like you said,
Mhm.
because of the legalities of a marriage, it's more difficult to get out and deal with things when you're trying to get out of a marriage as opposed to just a dating situation. But the feelings are the same.
Well, yeah, but the ramifications are different. I mean, it's like, and I hate to use this example, but for lack of a better one that comes to mind off the top of my head, it's the difference between dating, like if you're leasing a vehicle and you're going to turn it back in after a period of time, whether that period is 1 year or maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years, versus if you're buying the car versus leasing the car. I mean, just for
Yeah.
lack of a better analogy, right at the top of it's that burger. It's that darn cheeseburger. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stick to kale. I'm gonna stick to kale late at night. So but here's something. That's why it's important. Jared is saying that's why it's important to have a good relationship based on communication so that each person talks if they don't feel their needs are being met. And I think that's so true. And I was just thinking that too. It's funny, Jared, like you're a mind reader, because I was just thinking that very thing. Like I think that sometimes with men, I think they don't always articulate their needs and articulate their wants and what's going on. Like I said, just expressing themselves and where they are emotionally, mentally, spiritually, because they want to appear strong and they want to appear quote unquote manly. But it's very important to me. Like I look back at one of the person that I love most in my life. And I think about how, because he was military, former military, and he was very stoic in his being, that oftentimes he would not express to me directly what it was he needed from me. And then I would look back and I would think, oh, but that's what maybe he meant. And that's what he was feeling. Or later on, we would reconnect over the years and he would express it. And I'm thinking, well, why didn't you say that then? Because we could have done a lot better had you been more expressive and more communicative about your feelings. But I never really saw that you had the same amount of feelings for me as I had for you. But then fast forward, you realize that the love was always there, but it just wasn't expressed, for whatever reason. He had been in some previous relationships that had left him kind of damaged. And I guess we all had, but he was a lot older than me, so actually I really hadn't been at that point in my life, I hadn't been harmed or hurt in a romantic relationship, so I really didn't understand why he was being so timid about some things and not others. So if that makes any
Mhm.
sense. I don't know where I'm going with this, but
Yeah, but
somebody
what?
will understand me out there.
Yeah, yeah, I understand, and what Jared is saying is right, but that's easier said than done. I mean, most people, once the
Mhm.
pain starts, or once a person is hurt, if the other person don't understand and they're trying to talk, and then
Mhm.
particularly once the yelling begins, if the yelling begins or name calling starts, the other person shuts down. Communication's off at that point.
Yeah,
So
it's no reason why there should be any of those, either of those two things, name calling or yelling. If I think what Jared is
it
saying
happens,
is
Aubrey. It
it
happens.
does, it does. But I'm just saying, but if you're having a relationship and if you're having a good relationship, there's sometimes, like for example, there's sometimes you want to express something, right? Maybe in the moment, um, a friend of mine recently, this happened. They did something that was not really cool to me, right? But rather than increase the tensions and to blow things out of proportion in the moment, in the intense moment, in the emotional moment that we were in, I waited until another time and just had a conversation with that person about it, when the mood was clear, if that makes sense, right? So it's not all the time that you can bring up. You can't be in the middle of an argument. It's knowing how to de-escalate things. It's not, you can't be in the middle of an argument and say, oh yeah, and remember that time you did thus and such and da 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 da, and you start yelling at them and they're already yelling at you. That's not the moment. But the moment could be a day or two later when everything is calm. You say, well, I really want to bring something to your attention that you did or said that hurt me. Or if it's something you need in the relationship, same thing. You pick your moments. You can't everything. Like I used to have this male companion friend of mine. And one thing I learned about him is I watched his moods and I watched how he would receive things. I learned very quickly that if I wanted to have a talk with him about something, if I wanted to give a critique about how things were going, the best way for me to do that was to say, hey, let's go for a walk. Let's go for a walk. Let's go up to the track and go for a walk. And since that was something that we did regularly, it didn't automatically say that I got to have a talk with you about our relationship. But if we went for a walk, I find that with a lot of men, because they are physical, they can digest things in their mind as they're physically doing something else, like walking or a light jog or something like that. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. You know, but the thing is that if you're dealing with a right fighter or a narcissist, it doesn't matter when you approach them, they're gonna turn it on you. And if you're dealing with that kind of person, there's just no understanding. They will never understand where you're coming from because they're always going to either turn it on you, make you
Hmm.
feel guilty about
Hmm.
something they did. That's
Right.
that's the true definition of a narcissist. Make you feel guilty for catching them doing
Hmm.
something that hurts you.
And they're gonna make me feel bad about it, right? Well, then you, like you said, because I've dealt with quite a few of those in my lifetime. So yeah, that's gonna be a clue for me to get the hell away from you because number one, anyone I'm dealing with, whether it's romantic relationship, business, friendship, neighbor, if everything is about you not taking accountability, then I already see through who you are. If you can't
Mhm.
take accountability, because none of us are perfect, none of
Right,
us,
right, exactly. And
right?
Aubrey, I want to make this point before we start to get toward our close.
Hmm.
I want to make this point, and this again. This is toward the women. Maybe you'll understand or heard about situations like this because surely I have. Okay.
Hmm.
Now there are people who have very different sexual appetites. Let's just say that. I'll keep it.
Absolutely.
I'll keep
Mhm.
it PG-13. Okay.
Thank you.
There are some things that one person likes, the other person may not like, so forth and so. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So
Okay, so there are people that have, I'm sorry I interrupted. There are people that have different, very
different sexual
sexual
different
appetites.
sexual
Go ahead.
appetites, right? So there's some
Mhm.
things that the husband may like, that the wife don't like, the wife may like, the husband don't like, whatever, right?
Mhm.
So they go through their relationship or marriage like that. And but the other person, because they have a certain desire that's not being fulfilled or whatever, you know, they go out and find somebody to fill it or to fulfill it. Or
Mhm. Mhm.
or here's the other thing. Let's say the woman doesn't like, backdoor action. Let's put it like that. Okay.
Pastor, turn it off now, Pastor. Turn it off now, Pastor. I'll see you on Sunday. We're gonna pray for everybody. Everybody.
Praise his name. Praise him. So
Go ahead. Go ahead, Alex.
let's say she don't like backdoor action, right? That's not something that
You would
that,
repeat it, but go
yeah,
ahead.
that's something she doesn't partake in. Okay.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
okay, fine, you don't do it. Okay. So the husband kind of accepts that. Okay. But a couple of years down the road, she finds out maybe he's cheating or whatever, this and that. Get angry. Why is it? And I'm telling you what I know, Aubrey. I'm not saying this is all the time, but it's happened a lot. Okay. Why is it the very thing that a woman would never let her husband do? When she get angry and get this side dude, She'll let him do everything to her she would not allow the husband to do. Why is that?
I'm over here shrugging my shoulders. I don't know. Honestly, I think Jared has a good solution for that. Let's see what Jared has to say. um, you're going deep, brother. You're going deep. Um, so Alex, those acts should have been discussed before marriage so that there won't be problems later. If she didn't like it, the guy should have found someone who does before they married. So yeah, I mean, I don't think everybody likes everything. And then here's another thing. Let's go a little bit farther than that. You could discuss things with a person and maybe they like it now. You're going to be married. Let's say you're going to be married to this person. Okay, so for 10 years they like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Yeah, do it baby. Do it to me. Yeah. Oh, Lord." Okay. So but
PG-13.
right, but
PG-13.
the toes were curling. Okay, but 10 years into it, okay, so 10 years into it, everything is fine. But for whatever reason, maybe a medical condition, whatever, maybe that person says, you know what, they now 10 years into it, the marriage, they say, well, you know what, we can't do that anymore. I don't like it, or it's painful for me now. I find it interesting. I'm going to say this, Alex. I find it interesting that in a lot of conversations, men are always talking about women, their appetite changes and this and that. And it does happen. I'm not disagreeing and not saying that it never happens, because it absolutely does. But I find it very interesting. Like, a girlfriend and I were talking about this just the other day, that and I remembered this occasion, and I'm going to give an example from my personal life without giving any names, obviously. So I was a young 20 something hottie, okay? And I was in the club, and I spotted this guy and he spotted me, that whole thing like in the movies, across a crowded room, you spot each other and you make your way toward one another. And we made our way out to the dance floor because that was the thing back then. I loved to dance when I was in my 20s and my early 30s. So we're dancing, it's the fast songs, and then the DJ throws that slow jam on, right? So now we're up close, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, we're dancing close and tight, and he's got me in a deep embrace, and I'm putting it on him, and I'm trying to figure out why certain things aren't happening, if you follow my drift, right?
Right. I'm following you.
I'm trying to figure this out, and so we actually end up sitting down later on. We finished the dance. We danced a couple of slow songs, and we ended up sitting down at the table. He bought me a drink, and we were talking, and he became very open with me about the fact that he suffered from ED. Now, this guy was also in his 20s. Do you hear
Wow.
me? He
Yeah.
was in his 20s, and he was already having problems with ED. And
Right.
I was not really understanding quite exactly what he was saying, or if he was just trying to be coy, or maybe he had a girlfriend. So we later in the week, we ended up, going out. And I found out that what he was saying, long story short, was basically true. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm 20 something years old. I'm not about to give up my sex life at that point in life. So
Yeah.
I'm saying all that to say this, that I think it's interesting that a lot of times men want to say about women, but let's face it, a lot of guys, especially the guys that don't take care of their bodies, they drink too much, they smoke, they don't work out, they eat too much meat. They find out that in their 30s and 40s, sometimes as early as their 30s and 40s, and even this guy in his 20s, they find out that the equipment is not always working. So I think if you're in a loving relationship, now this is the thing, if you're in a loving relationship and you're mutually exclusive, then you're going to have to find some ways sometimes down the road to make things work, because everything ain't going to be working all the way through your life. It's
Right.
possible that you might get hit 50 or 55 or 60 or 65 or 70, and things just may not be working. That's all
Yeah.
I can say.
And again, you make an excellent point, right? And like Jared is saying, to open up about with a stranger about ED. ED has been around for a very long time.
Of
Okay.
course it
And
has.
and I know a lot of young men who have had it. Typically, once you hit 40, get above 40, you start slowing down a little bit anyway as a male, kind of thing, slowing down a little bit. But ED in your 20s is not a common thing, but yes, it does happen. You know, so but now they got, of course, they got pills, they got different things, they got different types of, hormonal therapies or whatever the case may be to help out with
Mhm.
those things. To help out with those things, you know,
Right.
because they know it's a problem, you know. And I think a lot of times what women need to understand about men that have to generate, you know, an erection or whatever is that that's a concentration of blood going into one area, and that takes a lot of energy sometimes to get that blood to concentrate to go into that area. Because we may call it a boner, but there's no bone in there. That's all blood and tissue. You know what I mean? And the more that the guy is turned on or can get his mind right, because a lot of it is mental. If he don't have his mind right or his body's not responding to yours because maybe it's the pheromones or there's all kind of different things that goes into that. You know, he will not generate the proper, erection kind of thing. And like you said, as a young woman, what do you do with that? You're at your peak at that point. It's like, okay, well, how do I handle this? So I guess he told you early because he wants you to choose right then and there. I want you to know what you're dealing with in case you decide we're going to go to the next level. I guess
Mhm.
he was being honest, maybe to his detriment.
Well, no, I mean, I think he was letting me know something that I kind of already knew because, again, I guess I have to say, like, in dating, because I was meeting so many different types of men, so many different races of men, and so many different men from different social economic groups. I traveled a lot as a young woman. Um, so I got to see a lot of things that probably the average 22, 23, 24-year-old woman didn't necessarily see coming out of Detroit. Okay. But I think he was telling me something that I was kind of already aware of.
Mm. You were aware of it because on the dance floor you didn't feel it. You see what I'm saying? You were pressed up against him, and usually when you were pressed up against a guy, you a beautiful young woman, you'll know. You know,
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
be
Yeah,
like,
I mean, like
you know,
that's unusual for me. That at that point in my life, that was very unusual. Heck, I could go by a guy and he would get a boner. So
and what
I'm not trying to be funny, but you know,
and, and,
I,
and
I,
what would
I, I
what
I
what
have to I have to say this. Wait. I have to get this out. I have to say this. So like a lot of times women will say, "Oh, I went to bed with him and we had a bad sexual experience." And then I'll say if it's a friend of mine, just using it for an example, and I'll say, "Well, why was that?" And they'll say, "Well, oh, because, it wasn't exactly the size that I wanted or I like." And my thing with women is I didn't understand because at an early age, not trying to give myself away, but I think there are ways to find out pretty much everything you need to know about a man and what a good example of what he's going to be like in bed before you even get there, before he even takes off his clothes, is to find out these things beforehand. Because my thing was, I didn't like taking my clothes off to be unsatisfied. I mean, I can count that just doesn't happen to me. It's just not
yeah.
going to happen because I'm going to find out, does he have the size that I like before we go to bed?
Hmm.
So that's why it's important. Like I said, with the whole dancing thing, I'm no fool. I was trying to find out what I needed to find out, and it wasn't given what it should have gave. So I think that was why he saw the look on my face. I'm not really a good poker face person, unfortunately. And I think that's why he felt it necessary to come out and tell me that he was having problems with, ED.
Yeah. And what do women always say in those type close proximity type of dance situations? They'd be like, is that a gun in your pocket or are you happy to see me? You know?
Right. Well, I want to know. I mean, I'm going
Yeah,
to find out. When I was 20 something, I was a real pistol. So, speaking of guns, so
right,
it wasn't anything that I wanted to know about you that I wasn't going to find out because I was just that assertive in my style. That's the way I
right.
was. And like I said, I'm not going to sleep with you. I'm not going to bed with you and then find
Mhm.
out that you got like a pinky size equipment. That's just not going to happen.
Right.
And I don't
And then,
understand women that say, "Well, I got there and I found that out." Like you should have found that out well before you got to the bedroom. I'm sorry.
yeah. And then, but there are situations, Aubrey, where people have been together for years and enjoyed a very happy, healthy sex life. and then the man started to experience ED, and then the woman
Oh, well,
has to kind of help him
absolutely.
through that.
Totally different situation. I'm talking about coming into it, I'm going to find out the information. And like I said, I think if you're in a loving relationship that you've been in, I think that that's something where you sit down and, like Jared pointed out, you have communications with that person. You can't throw people away when you've been with them and you've built up a lifetime of love with them. Maybe you've had children with them, you've built a home with them, you built a business with them, or whatever that thing is, or those things are. I wouldn't throw somebody away because, as a person, a woman of another age now, after the 20s and the 30s, okay, I've lived well past that, and I've dealt with situations with a man where they struggled and they had issues, but they were very forthright about it, and together we were able to see it through with solutions, if that makes sense. And
Yeah,
it's actually, it's actually a very empowering and beautiful thing to be with a man that is comfortable enough in his own skin to say, this is what I'm dealing with, but let's look into these solutions and tell me what you think and tell me what you like. And, if you want to come to the doctor with me, that's fine. It's very empowering. I think that I would imagine the same way a man would feel if a woman was doing something for him to make their sex life greater or better or to restore it. And maybe that woman needed some type of medical intervention, because these things, let's be honest, these things do happen
yeah,
as our body changes and ages. Things happen. I'm gonna tell
yeah.
you something. This doesn't have to do with necessarily directly with sex, but in in 2020, I woke up one morning in June and I couldn't get out of bed. I could barely walk. Okay. I don't know what happened. I wasn't involved in any kind of accident. I didn't fall. I didn't slip, nothing. But I went from doing yoga and running to I could barely walk. I was walking like an 85-year-old woman. In fact, there were some 85-year-old women that walked better than I did. Okay.
Mm. Yeah, wow.
And to
Mm,
God be the glory today that I can walk and I can do things. But I don't take it for granted. If something happens to somebody and you care about them, you cannot just throw them away because of sex. I mean, if that's what you're going to do, then that's what you're going to do. But at my age, I'm not going to throw somebody away just because of, maybe they're not the their sex is not the same as it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. I'm well past that. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah. And because over that span of time, you built so much more into the relationship than just sex. So that's really a no brainer for me. Any kind of illness, the person gets cancer or epilepsy, or you got to be there. It's just as simple as that. You know, if you got
Right.
up, if you got up and said the vow, sickness and health, that's what this means. Don't wait till you hit with the subject at hand and then go, oh, I didn't sign up for this. Oh hell, you did sign up for it. You said it.
Right.
You,
Right. Right.
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, but this has been a great discussion, Orby. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were enlightened in this discussion. I know I was.
It did. It did. You brought out a lot of good points. I mean, I think I can see why somebody would want to do revenge cheating. Not reverse cheating, different from reverse cheating. But I could see it. I mean, on an emotional level, I could see it, and it sounds like a good plot. Maybe I'll be able to write about this a little bit too, because actually it does sound like a very good premise for a novel, even, right? Because I'm thinking
Right.
about a new novel that I want to write. So it's a very interesting premise. So thank you for bringing it to our attention, Alex.
Mhm.
I want to say that you want to tell our viewers about what you have going on right now, because
Oh
I've been
man.
seeing some very interesting artwork on your social media pages. What's going on with that?
Oh man, Orby, my character, the mythical Outlander, is coming to life. This is my first comic book project. As you know, I'm a filmmaker. I have films out, but this is my first comic book project, which I'm hoping eventually will turn into an animated project and eventually a feature film. But it's some great drawings. I create the characters. I do all the writing. My illustrator is so gifted. He's so talented. So this thing is coming together. My colorist, it all coming together, and I think it's going to be a great, great thing. I'm excited about it. and we'll see what happens moving forward. But I'm very excited about it. Anybody that want to contact me, I'm on Instagram, AWLeaf67 on IG, and Facebook is just Alex W Leaf on Facebook. So you can find me there.
Give us that again, your contact information.
On IG, AW Leaf LEATH 67. That's on IG, and on Facebook, I'm just Alex W Leaf on Facebook, and you can find me there. And you get a chance to get to know me a little bit, see what I'm into, maybe see some films, see some comic book characters, have some great discussion. I'm involved in a whole lot of different things. I'm a cryptocurrency investor, a stock investor, real estate. I'm a what you call that, Aubrey? I'm a jackass of all trades.
I would say Jack R's, but okay. No, he's not. He's not, guys. He's really a beautiful individual, beautiful human being. So that's Alex, and I'm just gonna throw out there that this is my birthday month, and I'm celebrating all month long. For those of you that want to reach out to me and help out with the podcast, I would definitely love it. But definitely while you're here, make sure you like the video, guys. Leave a comment when you get a chance to, and come on back because we're going to have many more topics to discuss with you guys here on the roundtable. And we do have some interviews that will be coming up very shortly. Before this month is out, we're going to be bringing in a psychologist to talk about great mental health and mental health care. And we're going to be talking about a lot more relationship topics. Okay. So come on back, and we thank you for supporting us. We thank you guys for being out here. We love you. You guys stay safe and take care. Okay. Until the
Yeah,
next
and
time we
Aubrey,
see each other
Aubrey,
again. All right. Bye now.
and
Oh,
Aubrey,
yep.
Aubrey, tell them how to get. Aubrey, tell them how to buy you a cup
I'm
of
sorry.
coffee.
I can't.
Tell them where to go to buy you a cup of coffee. Tell them how to buy you a cup of
Oh,
coffee.
oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, buy me a cup of coffee. I love coffee. Actually, I'm sitting here sipping some now because it's kind of late for me. But the way to buy me a cup of coffee is the channel name, actually Aubrey with a S in front of it. If you have Cash App, and I'm gonna get on board with some of the other PayPal and Venmo, but I don't have those right now. But if you have Cash App, it's the dollar sign and actually Aubrey, and that's a way you can leave a small amount, $4, $5, $10, whatever you want. And I will appreciate it. I really will, because we're going to keep this thing going. So, by the grace of God and by your support, we're going to keep it going. The numbers are growing. I want to thank you guys for getting me over the 200 mark and headed that always cracks me up. And headed towards 300. So we're gonna keep moving so we can get this channel monetized. And thank you. So share this video out with your friends and family, co-workers, frenemies, whatever. Share it out and like the video, guys. Thanks a lot, Alex, for being here. Thank you for bringing awareness to this topic. Like I said, I thought it was very intriguing, and we'll see you on the next episode. Okay.
Love you guys. Bye bye.
Bye now.